All right, getting some really good work done. It's uh it's 2:13 right now. Getting a lot of good work done, just putting video recordings together for court because I filed a complaint. Here's a little golden nugget for taking people to court, by the way. Always file with like the BBB. If it's like a business, like my specific situation is I was running a high ticket sales training company with a 50/50 business partner, and I joined as a student. Within a week I got promoted to a salesperson on the team and a coach, and then by September 1st, so literally less than 3 weeks later, so one weekend, salesperson on the offer to sell sales training. So to not just be a student anymore, to take the sales training, but to sell it. And then to be a sales coach as well. So those two things happened within a week. Then within 3 weeks, I became a 50/50 equity partner because he quickly realized, I had about as much sales experience as half of his life, right? He was a really young kid. So in his early 20s. So I've spent half of his life in sales. So he quickly realized, like, holy fuck, not only is this dude really good at sales, he's cracked at teaching it. Like, I was just really good at teaching it. I was also really good at continuing the sales theory beyond what it currently was. So the sales training he has right now that he's giving to students, I made that. No one in the community knows that though, because it was me and him just hopping on one-on-one calls for hours on end, literally like 7 hours in a day, just for months, and me just developing it and then bringing it to the sales training each week publicly and testing it and being like, yeah. And it got to a point where they started to look at me as the authority. And he got really jealous. He got really scared. He got really fearful that I was gonna like take over his community and whatnot. So yeah. And it actually started getting to a point where I was going beyond his awareness. So the sales theory came from him, but he can only bring it here. And then with me, we both brought it here, and then I brought it here. And then he couldn't go. He was like, "No, that's wrong." And the whole community was like, "No, you're wrong. Paul's right." And he just couldn't see what I was seeing from his own sales training. Regardless, he was a phenomenal doer. One of the probably top 10 salespeople I've ever met in this space. Kid was making 60, grand a month, 80 grand a month. He's currently making like 100 grand a month, 120 grand a month, at least as of January. It's June now, so he could be making way more than that. He could be making, 150, 200 grand a month. Um, Besides the point, little gold nugget. But yeah, 50/50 partners, and then we were making hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue. I never got my investment back, which is stealing because I was a student for a week. Then I never got the salary that I was promised as a coach. Never made any commission as salesperson on the offer because he didn't. I took like two calls total. And then he said he was going to bring in a bunch of calls, and he just kept gaslighting us, pretty much just saying all this stuff was going to happen, and it never happened, just to keep us there. And then we became 50/50 partners, and we made hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue. I had many upsells, a lot of people messaging me that they all would have left the community if it literally weren't for me, because Josiah just was not good at teaching. Phenomenal at doing, not good at teaching. So I'm a much better teacher than I am doer compared to him. He's a much better doer than he is teacher compared to me. I'm becoming a lot better doer though, so teaching will do that. Anyways, little golden nugget for you guys if you're going to court with a relationship like that. File with the BBB, file with the Attorney General, because what will happen is they'll have to defend themselves. They won't have to, but it will not look good if they don't. And if they do, you'll actually be able to see what type of evidence they're going to bring to court. So I'm putting you guys on game here because I got to see his argument. So now he's going to be super surprised tomorrow because I'm taking all of that stuff and I'm literally rebutting it perfectly. So when we get to court, the judge is going to be like, "Oh fuck, this dude, like, how are you so like you're perfectly rebutting exactly what he's saying? It's because I'm using exactly what he used in the BBB and whatnot. All I have to do is complain to the BBB and the Attorney General. He has to actually present evidence and whatnot and shit like that. Um, and then this just worked out by the grace of God. Definitely on my side. He submitted his evidence for the initial court hearing. So the court hearing was like on the 20th. What is it? June. So March, April, May. So I think it was April 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, somewhere in there. I canceled it on the 1st. So like around April 1st, which is funny now I'm realizing April Fools. The clerk told me it was canceled. April Fools on me. 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd comes and I get a dismiss with prejudice, which means you lost the case because it doesn't mean you lost the case because you didn't show, but it means you lost the case. And in this case, it was because I didn't show. And I hit up the judge and I was like, hey, the clerk said that it was canceled. And they're like, no, it wasn't canceled. And I'm like, okay, but the clerk told me it was canceled. And they're like, okay, well, you still lost. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to appeal it. And then it got approved. But by the grace of God, I had access to his evidence, which is amazing because now I not only got the BBB and the Attorney General evidence, I actually got what he's bringing to court. So now I'm taking all this, rebutting it perfectly for Friday, and it's just going to be a cakewalk. And by the grace of God, I was given that chance because he never knew it was canceled. So he submitted his evidence a day before. I went to go view it, and I didn't even know. I was like, oh, I just can't view it, which makes sense. I called the clerk just, because I'm getting really good at just asking for things that I want and forgetting about the status quo of you can't have it or you can and shit like that. I was like, hey, can you send me his evidence? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, wait, what? And they emailed me his evidence. So now I've gotten pretty much a month to prepare and I'm just finishing up some details, making sure everything's airtight. And so, yeah. And it's just like, God's in on my side of the court, for this one, which makes sense because this guy's a evil fucking cunt, so fucking loser, like huge fucking loser. But anyways, so yeah, that's not actually why I was gonna make this video. I was finishing up some work and I just remembered. In that moment I knew I was going to make the video, but then I forgot. So we'll make that the video. So